She split the atom but was erased from history. Why? Lise Meitner, the physicist who discovered nuclear fission, but was ignored by the Nobel Committee. She was the mind who discovered how to split the atom, unleashing unimaginable power. But when the Nobel Prize came, her name was erased from history by the man who had been her friend for 30 years. This is the story of the true mother of the atomic age. What does it take to change the world? For Lise Meitner, it was a brilliant mind and a 30-year collaboration with her colleague, Otto Hahn. Together, they were about to make a discovery that would define the 20th century. But she had a problem that science couldn't solve. She was of Jewish descent in Nazi Germany. In 1930s Berlin, Meitner and Hahn's laboratory was the epicenter of nuclear physics. She was the theoretical physicist, the visionary. He was the experimental chemist, the expert in the lab. They were the perfect team. For years they bombarded uranium atoms with neutrons, trying to understand what was happening. The results were strange, confusing, and didn't fit with anything science knew. But in 1938, everything changed. With the annexation of Austria, her citizenship no longer protected her. Overnight, she became a fugitive. She had to escape Germany in secret, with just a few suitcases, leaving behind her work, her lab, and her entire life. She arrived in Sweden as a refugee, alone and isolated. Do you think a scientific discovery belongs to the person who has the idea, or the one who does the experiment? Let me know in the comments. The story gets complicated right here. Even in exile, Meitner didn't stop working. She communicated by letter with Hahn, guiding his experiments from a distance. In December 1938, Hahn wrote her a letter describing the strangest result yet. After bombarding uranium, he had found barium, a much smaller element. It made no sense. It was like throwing a basketball at a glass window and having the window turn into 2 baseballs. It was during a Christmas holiday, while discussing that letter with her nephew Otto Frisch, that Lise Meitner had the revelation. It wasn't a mistake. The uranium atom wasn't chipping. It was splitting in two. It was undergoing fission. And in that process, it released an amount of energy never seen before, exactly as predicted by Einstein's famous equation, E=mc². She was the first person to understand what was happening. She coined the term nuclear fission and explained the physics behind the discovery. She had solved the puzzle. Hahn published the chemical results in Germany, but for fear of reprisal from the Nazi regime, he omitted the name of Meitner, his Jewish collaborator. He claimed the discovery was purely a chemical one. Years later, in 1944, the Nobel Committee awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry solely to Otto Hahn for the discovery of nuclear fission. Lise Meitner, the woman who had led the research for years and the only one who understood the physics behind the phenomenon, was completely ignored. Hahn never corrected the record publicly or insisted that she deserved the credit. The Jewish mother of the atomic bomb, as the press called her, was erased from her own discovery. Despite her pacifism and refusal to work on the Manhattan Project, her work changed the war and the world forever, but without the recognition she deserved. History is full of forgotten figures like Lise Meitner. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you believe these stories must be told. Share this video so the world can know the woman who deciphered the power of the atom and never lost her humanity.